Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
It's time for the Lithia Ford of Boise post-game show from Bronco Nation News. We're breaking down the game with highlights, interviews, analysis, and most importantly, you. Give your thoughts on the game in the YouTube chat or Facebook comments, and we'll include the best ones on the show. Check out LithiaFordBoise.com to view their full inventory of vehicles, or check them out at 8853 West Fairview in Boise. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Now let's head out and join BJ Rains for the Lithia Ford of Boise post-game show from Bronco Nation News.
Hey, good evening, Boise State fans. How we doing? Hope you can hear me okay. I'm on the field at SoFi Stadium. Boise State falls 35-22. I apologize for the lighting issues in the back. Doing the best we can here after Boise State falls 35-22 in the LA Bowl. The Broncos led 16-7 at the half, and it was a totally different game there in the second half. And the defense unable to get enough stops. The offense unable to move the ball enough. CJ Tiller, dude, was put in a rough spot and just really had some struggles moving the ball down the field passing. And that's not really all on him. It's his first career start. He's a true freshman. And, there was some potential there, but he was in a tough spot and just couldn't get the ball moving. And the Broncos really couldn't do enough offensively once UCLA really started heating him up and knew that he was going to be, putting some third and longs and stuff. And it just really was not a great situation for Boise State at that point. So Boise State falls 35-22. We're going to hear from Spencer Danielson. Going to hear from George Helani, Andrew Simpson. Obviously going to take your thoughts, your stats, get them in the YouTube chat, the ICCU YouTube chat. We appreciate Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. There's a branch pretty much on every corner, and they got the mobile e-branch online banking. It's so easy to use. Check them out, ICCU.com. They sponsor our YouTube chat, and then get your comments in if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter. We ask you to switch over to YouTube, and we will take your comments there after Boise State falls in this one. Broncos got lit up in the second half. Congrats, UCLA. No adjustments and got worked in the second half. Yeah, good for George Helani at least to have that 66-yard run touchdown there in the fourth quarter, where that did kind of change the stats a little bit. The second half stats were not great for Boise State. 28-6, the Broncos got outscored in the second half. Total yards were 336 to 130. So Boise State gives up 336 yards of offense in the second half. They get outscored 28-6 in the second half. And you could point to a lot of reasons why Boise State lost this game. Obviously, you can point to the quarterback play. And again, some of that's on CJ Tiller. Some of that's just on the situation. Your top two quarterbacks that played all year left. If you had Taylon Green in this game, you probably win because you're probably not up 16-7 at halftime. You're probably up 24-7 at halftime. Those three field goals that they had to settle for in the first half, I thought were huge. Boise State settling for field goals, not being able to score touchdowns there in the first quarter. In the second quarter, I really thought was a big part of the game. If you could have had a bigger lead, maybe you have more momentum, you can end the game, and nobody can come back on this. Could have come back in this game. So I certainly thought that Boise State in the first half could have had a better lead. They're playing so well, and the next thing you know, they're losing the game. So I thought the 16-7 lead should have been 24-7 or whatever it would have been if they could have got some touchdowns instead of field goals there. I certainly thought, it was just I was asking a lot on CJ Tiller there, and they had the lead and they had the ball. And as you're going to hear Spencer Danielson say, if you have the lead and the ball to start the third quarter, that shouldn't happen. So offense just couldn't get going. A couple of quick 3-and-outs. The game turned really quickly. And again, CJ Tiller just showing some youth there. There was one play in particular where he's getting chased out of bounds, and instead of just throwing the ball away, he just runs out of bounds for a 5-yard loss. Like, stuff like that just can't happen. But stuff like that is something you learn as you get older and as you continue to get snaps under your belt. So a lot was on his plate tonight. You see the palace that is AT&T, or I almost said AT&T Stadium. That's in Dallas. Allegiant Stadium's in Vegas. This obviously is SoFi Stadium. It obviously was a lot on. We got some guy bringing the cookies out here, man. I'll take a cookie. Sure, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. Look at that. We got gentlemen bringing some cookies out here. We appreciate that, man. You just saw Alexander Tubner walk by. He's still got tears on his face, and we're going to show some of the raw emotion of this game after the game. But I just, again, there was a lot on the line and just a big stage, big atmosphere for CJ Tiller's first start. And they had a good game plan early on. They mixed in some passing and some runs, but let's tell it like it is. I think the longest actual pass that CJ Tiller completed until there was one pass to Prince Strawn that he threw it down the field was like 5 yards. I mean, in most of the game, they were just completing screen passes and dump offs and checkdowns. They really were no threat to throw the ball deep down the field. UCLA figured that out, started loading up the box a little bit and putting the pressure on them, and Boise State just couldn't do enough offensively to sustain it. And that, combined with the defense all of a sudden really struggling in the second half, just led to what you saw, 28-6. The scoring flipped there in the second half, and again, 336 yards to 130 yards there in the second half. Overall, UCLA finishes with 510 yards of offense. Boise State had 332 yards of offense, but 510 yards of offense for UCLA. And how about Ethan Garbers coming in? I mean, he apparently wasn't healthy enough to start the game. Haven't heard Chip Kelly's comments yet, but he comes off the bench and goes 9 of 12 for 152 yards and 2 touchdowns. So when Garbers came in, that really changed the game because UCLA didn't have a lot going other than a couple of runs. Their quarterback, Schlee, had a couple long runs, and it finished with 7 carries for 127 yards. But they really didn't have a lot going offensively until Garbers came in, threw a couple nice long balls. They had some touchdowns. And again, he was 9 of 12 for 152 yards, 2 touchdowns. I believe he was the offensive MVP coming off the bench. So why he didn't start the game, I have no idea what was going on with Garbers there. So that was certainly an interesting situation there. But a lot of Jonah Dalmas was not at commencement today. He was not at commencement, so I don't know where if you saw him. But the players had their own ceremony here in Boise or here in LA yesterday. They had their own ceremony for the 5 players, and I don't believe Dalmas has graduated yet. So that'll be a topic for later in the show because Jonah Dalmas has a decision to make whether or not he's going to come back or not next year. Good effort and all that, but Boise State won't beat a Power 5 team for a long time. The talent gap is evident. Wow, that's a quick a lot of people quick to rip on Spencer Danielson. I haven't gotten to those. I'm sure they're here in the chat as well, but a lot of folks on social media that didn't want Spencer Danielson to get hired all of a sudden trying to justify that by one performance tonight when you're starting your third-string quarterback. So, was this Spencer Danielson's best game? No, it was his first loss, though. So the folks that are just waiting to pounce are probably the same people that are ready to pounce whenever Leon Rice loses a game, saying same old Leon. So some people are just, I don't know what the right word is to say, but some people just have nothing better to do than rip on, players and coaches that try as hard as they can. And there's some quick folks to rip on Spencer Danielson tonight and Jeremiah Dickey for hiring him. And then the folks that are big Andy Avalos supporters are loving this. But, it is what it is. And they lost to a Pac-12 team, obviously, that has a lot of talent on their team, and they came back in the second half. The second half was not good for Boise State. I'm not making excuses. The second half was not good. It was poor. The defense did not play well. They'll tell you that. They just couldn't get any stops in the second half. And again, once CJ Tiller was put in some 3rd and longs and things, once they started loading the box and stopping the run, Boise State's offense just couldn't move the field. It was a bad combination, and it led to what we saw in the second half, 28-6. The Broncos get outscored. Needed an experienced quarterback to pull it off. UCLA, one of the best rush defenses out there. Tiller was definitely overmatched. Agree with that. Kurt chiming in, 259 days until the Georgia Southern game. Georgia Southern got worked tonight. I saw they lost their bowl game as well. They finished 6-7, I believe. Grand Teton says, hope Spencer Danielson's lack of halftime adjustments aren't a sign of things to come. Again, take the headset off there. I'm listening to myself talk. Don't need to do that. 0 penalties in the first half. The second half came unraveled out of the locker room. Did have 4 penalties in the second half, but that was kind of things evening out a little bit. Let's see what else we got. Preston says, at least my wife got a laugh for my behavior tonight. Thought we were going to pull it off. Hats off to Chip. Let's see. Second half looked like Avalos ball, sloppy, undisciplined, and cringeworthy. Wasn't Ethan Garbers expected to take a recruiting trip up here? I don't remember all the details on that, but I believe at one point he was maybe connected to Boise State. Talent gap was unwatchable. Really hope BJ explains why he didn't ask whether Fulton ever had a shot to get in the game. We know Tiller ain't it at quarterback versus Power 5 competition. Again, this was his first career start. I asked like 3 of the 7 questions that we got, by the way, and if you want to rip the questions, that's fine, but we only had a certain amount of time, and we didn't get a chance to it. Michael, thanks. We'll see you next year, man. Michael Callahan is going to be back next year, and there he is. He's going to be one of those defensive guys that we'll talk about moving forward here that certainly have an opportunity to do some big things. And Scott, good to see you. Scott Matlock walking by as well, but it was just one of those games. But back to the press conference question, it was kind of weird because all the UCLA reporters like sat in the first 3 rows, and then the last row when all the Boise State guys got there, we were there, and then you had to raise your hand, and they brought a mic around to you, and then they said last question. So if we'd had 10 more minutes with Spencer, certainly we would have asked about Fulton, but I did ask about Tiller and the situation he was put in. So these bowl press conferences are not the same press conferences as a regular postseason game. So, we didn't exactly get a opportunity to ask all the questions that we wanted to. And so I'm sure there'll be a time for that. And we have signing day next week. I'm sure we'll get Spencer again. But I said it on Twitter. I would have put Colt Fulton in that game at some point. And it really wasn't even on CJ Tiller. It was just, hey, you're down, give him a chance. And I was kind of under why not give Colt Fulton a chance? Because let's be honest, if Colt Fulton can't get in this game, he probably ain't getting in any game at Boise State. He was a walk-on 4th stringer. Finally has an opportunity. You're down double digits in the 4th quarter. Give the guy some snaps. What else do you have to lose? So tough one, obviously, for him. I thought he was going to start the game. I was dead wrong on that, but I thought he might start. He didn't get the start. They went with Tiller, and again, I don't know if Tiller or Fulton would have made much of a difference tonight. They just couldn't move the ball down the field in the passing game. Maybe Fulton could have come in and made some downfield throws, but by the time we got to that point in the 4th quarter, the game was pretty much over. So it was just evident early on that the only way Boise State was going to move the ball was to run it or to throw short. Because a couple of times when Tiller tried to throw down the field, it was almost intercepted, and it wasn't great. So again, I'm not even putting this on him. He didn't play great, but it was his first game, and it is what it is. He's a freshman, so. It was just a bad situation all around for Talon Green to transfer and for Maddox Madsen to be hurt. I mean, any team in America that has to start a true freshman 3rd-string quarterback probably has a tough time moving the ball more times than not. So it just stinks that it was on this stage in this game. And, if the offense not being able to move the ball and losing this game just, weirdly thinks and makes you feel that it justifies that it was a bad hire of Spencer Danielson, more power to you. That's great. But to judge on one game is what it is. And when I thought they should have hired Spencer Danielson, I said it had nothing to do with the games they won. I said it before they even played a game. So, it is what it is. And people have their narratives, their opinions. They're going to have them. But I thought that CJ Tiller was put in a tough spot tonight. Talon Green going to Arkansas somewhere was watching this game. And that obviously had to be a tough one, because I think Boise State wins this game. As I said earlier, if they had their starting quarterback, they win this game, because they would have won this game by more than they would have been up at halftime bigger than 16-7 if they had Talon Green. A couple of those drives where they had to settle for field goals would have been touchdowns. So, it is what it is. It was a tough one, but I still think there's a lot of encouraging signs for this team moving forward. Kurt says have to go 11-1 or 10-2 for Genty to have a chance at the Heisman. We're losing some solid players next year. Yeah, you're losing a couple, you're losing some, but I mean, we talked about on the pregame show, you actually have a ton of talent coming back next year. You have 16 starters coming back. You lose Riley Smith, you lose DJ Schramm, you lose, Cade Beresford, you lose Garrett Curran, you lose Dimitri Washington. You do lose some staples here for a long time, but you bring back a lot of young talent on this roster for next season. So, by the way, I can tell being down here for a week in LA and not shaving, my beard is looking extremely long here. So not exactly a flattering angle here for me and my double chin. You lose some key guys, but you certainly have a lot of guys coming back as well that I think is exciting for the future. Let's take a quick 90-second timeout. When we come back, I'm going to show you raw footage from the field, the players, tears coming down their eyes, hugging each other, the raw emotion when that clock hit zero, that the season was over, that the career was over for some of these players. We're going to show you that raw emotion next and keep taking your comments back in 90 seconds on the Lithia Florida Boise postgame show from the Cutwater Studios after a 35-22 loss for Boise State here at SoFi Stadium. Be right back in 90 seconds. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of premix premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Spirits, perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Our title sponsor is rowpaint.com. For all your commercial, industrial, residential painting needs, check out rowpaint.com. Don't forget about their concrete coatings. Transform that ugly concrete slab on your back patio in your garage in just one day. Contact rowpaint.com for a free estimate today. The official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics and our title sponsor at Bronco Nation News is rowpaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union's been helping members achieve financial success for more than 80 years. There's an ICCU branch on almost every corner, but the closest is in your pocket with free eBranch mobile and online banking. See why more than 500,000 members love ICCU and join 1 in 4 Idahoans by making the switch today at ICCU.com. Since 1984, Ridley's Family Markets has prided itself on being a hometown food and drug store that employed value members of the local community. Ridley's Family Markets has 13 locations in the state of Idaho and many more in the surrounding states. Download the new Ridley's app to your smartphone, get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line, and find a location near you at shopridleys.com. Former Bronco Matt Bauscher is once again the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. No home is too big or too small for Matt and his team. Let them fulfill all your real estate needs at BauscherRealEstate.com. Back here on the Lithia Florida Boise postgame show. Check out Lithia Florida Boise, LithiaFordBoise.com to view their full inventory of vehicles. And again, Rain's family purchased our F-150 from Lithia Ford. Couldn't be happier with our F-150, so you can as well. Check them out, LithiaFordBoise.com, the sponsor of our post-game show here. By the way, we'll have pre-game show for basketball, assuming we can get back fast enough tomorrow. We'll be back in time to have a quick pre-game show before the basketball game. 2 o'clock tip-off. Hope to see some of you at Extra Mile Arena. 2 o'clock tip-off for Boise State after they fall. After the football team falls tonight, but the basketball team looking for a 5th straight win, and they're looking to make history with their 20th straight home win at Extra Mile Arena, 2 o'clock. So hope to see some of you guys out there tomorrow at Extra Mile Arena. We're trying to upload our video here. We'll see if we can upload it here. It's loading pretty slow, but I downloaded it to the wrong spot. I'm going to see if I can switch this up and download it to sorry, doing this on the fly here. We, for whatever reason with the internet here, we're going to drop this into a different file and see if we can make this work. Let's see if we can make this work here. All right, well, let's take some more of your comments and your questions while this is trying to load. We actually have the post-game interviews we can play as well. Maybe we should go ahead and do that here in a minute. We got a lot of comments still rolling in, though. We'll look at some of the final stats, too. C.J. Taylor finishes 12 of 21, 117 yards, and that interception. George Helani, 17 carries for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns, averaged 8 yards a carry. And again, George had that 66-yard touchdown run. Cool for George. Very cool for George in his last game. And he's able to get 2 more touchdowns and do some of the things that he was able to do offensively in his last game, because he's going to be obviously remembered for a lot of things. And I know he wanted to go out with a win, but certainly for George Helani to finish his career healthy with over 100 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns just adds to the legacy of George Helani, in which Mike Prater wrote about at BroncoNationNews.com. Jordan says, CJ did about what you'd hope from a true freshman in that situation. Really exciting. Didn't melt, kept battling. Love the 2-point scramble. Yeah, they almost had that. That was actually a huge play that was barely out of bounds. They almost had it. Refused to believe Boise can't land an instant transfer quarterback. No more of these backups from low-level programs. Need an experienced quarterback desperately. I actually did ask Spencer Danielson in the postgame, is that a position they're going to have to add to quarterback in the transfer portal? He said they first want to keep all the players they have, and then they're going to look and see what they need to do moving forward. I apologize for the glare, by the way. I don't know what's going on with my camera here. I don't have the usual setup because I'm kind of in one of these suites over here in the corner by the field, and I apologize for this, but not our usual setup today. They're kicking us out of here. They're actually already painting the lines. I guess right now they're cleaning off the paint from the bowl game, and they've got a NFL game here tomorrow with the LA Rams. So they're doing a quick turnaround. They're kicking us out of the press box in the stadium here before too long. So had to do a kind of a quick post-game show here, and then going to have to go back to the hotel to write my story. So I apologize for the setup. It's not our usual setup here with a better camera and a better system and everything. But with the Rams game, they kind of told us we only had 2 hours, and that's what we're dealing with right now. So let's see how the video is coming along here. Let's go back here. Still loading, but not very fast. That's a bummer. All right, let's play the post-game interview. Let's play Spencer Danielson and the players, and I'll try to work on this video of the post-game. But we're not going to play it all, but we'll get it started anyway. Here's Spencer Danielson and George Shalani and Andrew Simpson after the game.
All right, we have Coach Danielson, George Shalani, Andrew Simpson. Raise your hand, and we'll send a mic around for questions. So we'll just go straight into it. Please raise your guys' hands so they know who has the mic. Yeah. All right, start with you. Second.
BJ Rains with Bronco Nation News. Coach, you get off to the nice start and you had the lead at halftime. What kind of changed in the second half?
Yeah, we just didn't execute, BJ. And once again, take full responsibility for it as a team. Defensively, we didn't execute. Offensively, we couldn't sustain drives. And then, we gave up some big plays defensively, lost some of the momentum. We working to find ways to get it back, and we didn't. So I take full responsibility for the whole team. We got to be better in the second half. When you go into half with a lead and we're getting the ball, we got to be better. So we'll learn a lot from it. We'll look at the film. We'll be better in the future for it.
Coach, obviously, I have to get right back to recruiting and all that. You talk about family and just that whole environment, what you built. When you get back to Boise, obviously, like Idaho has the only in and out there possible. And now NIL deals are kind of going up. So is that something you're going to try to get for, Genty and the O-line next year?
For the whole team and for the coaches, there's no question. It was an 8-hour wait in Boise, Idaho to go to in and out. So we got to find a way, just even if the NIL deal is just to skip the line, it'd be worth it. So no, we're gonna keep. And I told the players, my number one goal is to continue to make Boise State a place where players come, they stay, they're developed, they play in the NFL, they have what God has for them after, and they're world changers. And that will not change. That's my number one goal from the second I took this job going forward, and I believe it will be that.
And George, you have one of the probably best games ever of your career, last game ever on your birthday. What is that feeling, especially being back in LA?
I mean, it's a blessing. It's all glory to God. Without him, nothing is possible. But it's, shout out to the O-line, the tight ends, the receivers, every play. They're dominant up front in a run game, and they were able to be consistent like that throughout the game. So, there's definitely a lot more work, and definitely could be better for sure.
Hey, Coach, Kurt Sandoval from KABC. You talked about that second half. How much, I know you haven't looked at film yet, but how much of it was human nature of being up 16-7? How much was it their defense? And secondarily, if you can speak to how Ethan Gabbers came in that situation.
Obviously, holistically, the beautiful part about football is it's not subjective. When we watch the film, it's going to be very clear what happened and what we didn't execute. If it's a call, offense or defense, if it's a missed tackle, missed play. So we'll look at the film and find out why. As a coach, it is my job to make sure that we execute and play well, and we didn't. So it's 100% on me, and I'm excited to look at it and find ways that we can grow going forward. And we got a great group of seniors that this was their last game wearing the blue and orange. So that's what breaks my heart. Obviously, as a competitor, our goal at Boise State is to win the Mountain West Conference Championship and a bowl game. We brought the championship back to Boise, very proud of that, but we didn't finish the end of that goal. And as a coach and looking going forward, how can we make sure we get that done in the future? We also got a young team. and we're going to look at ways to continue to develop our team. We'll be better in the future for it. But in regards to the second half, there's going to be a lot of things when we look at the film to see what we got to do better. Like I said, holistically, to make sure we execute. We don't give up the big plays on defense. We can move the chains on offense. At the end of the day, football is a simple game. We just got to make sure as coaches, we put them in the right spots. Our players will execute and we'll be better in the future.
Joe Reedy, Associated Press. Coach, just how much did you expect Schlee to be the starter, and how much did things change maybe schematically going from Schlee to Garbers? And then George, just how you guys got 3 field goals in the first half and we're up 16-7, but how deflating was it not to be able to convert touchdowns and just settle for field goals?
Yeah, that was our first half. Obviously, with a bowl game and a bowl game that is, we played our championship game 2 weeks ago. There's moving parts on both sides in regards to the roster. We watched the game film we had and who was going to be starting quarterback, who wasn't. We felt good about going to the game if either one was the starter, that we had a plan. And obviously looking at it, we got to do a better job in a lot of different situations, which is on us as a coaching staff, on me. But we had a good plan going into the game on if number 9 or number 4 were playing. But Garbers did a great job when he came in, made some throws, had some key runs, and we got to play better and we got to put him in better spots.
John Wistro with the Idaho Press. Spence, just 3 of those drives that you got in the red zone in the first half that ended in field goals. Just how badly did you want those to turn into touchdowns, and how did that kind of change the game?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, football, how you execute in the red zone is everything, and not field goals, scoring touchdowns. Defensively, it's all about holding an offense to 3 or nothing. We talk about all the time defensively. As an offense, did a great job moving the ball into the red zone. We got to find ways to capitalize and put that ball in the end zone. We had multiple opportunities to. We just didn't get it done. So, obviously, the difference between 9 points and 21 points is going to be a big part in the game. On the flip side, their offense did a very good job when they got in the red zone, capitalizing on a couple third downs and turning those into touchdowns. So, we'll look at it holistically as a staff to make sure we find better ways. So if we do create plays where an offense gets in the red zone, we hold them to 3-0, and then offensively making sure we turn them into touchdowns.
And then Andrew, 336 yards they had in the second half. Just, once Garbers came in, how did that kind of change the game?
He was just making good throws. We have to just do our job every play, and we had a good plan going in, but at the end of the day, we just got to make tackles and just play as a team, and those plays wouldn't go the way they did if we did that. So.
Spencer, obviously, CJ was in a tough spot today, but what did you see from him and just the inability to really get the ball moving down the field in the passing game? How in the second half did that kind of make things tougher on the offense?
Yeah, proud of CJ. I mean, it's a tough situation to step into, and he didn't blink, he didn't hesitate. The downside in the second half was he was in situations where they knew he had to throw the ball. 3rd and 12 is not ideal for any quarterback. I don't care who you are, but especially a true freshman making his first start. So we got to be more efficient on 1st and 2nd down, put him in better spots, and he'll grow from this experience, and he'll be better for it.
Nothing, him aside, do you need to, add to that position in the transfer portal here before next season?
I mean, we're looking across the board, BJ. Like I said, my number one goal is taking care of our players. We got a young team. We got a great team, great kids, great young men that are going to be world changers. We're going to keep them in Boise, Idaho. Then we're going to look at our roster to see, where are positions that we need to find guys that are not here that fit this place, fit what we're about, and we'll look at it holistically that way.
Coach, you guys
we'll pause it there for a second. That's the halfway point or so of the Spencer Danielson press conference, along with Andrew Simpson and George Talani. I just got yelled at for using the wrong kind of chair here, which is going to mess up the grass. But if I'm being completely honest, you see that St. Louis Rams banner way up there in the back. I don't feel that bad if the grass gets messed up a little bit here for Stanley Kroenke taking my Rams out of St. Louis. So apologize to the stadium worker. They were nice enough to give me another chair. But some strong feelings about this place. Nice place, but wish my Rams were still in St. Louis. I'll just say that. But I did switch chairs because they asked me to because of the grass, and they're getting ready in the background for the Rams game tomorrow. We do have a lot of questions and comments still coming in. Let's get to some of those. We'll get back to the press conference with Danielson and some of the players. Look and sound fine. Thanks for the coverage. I recognize the post-game presser was crazy brief. Yeah, John would ask more questions if we could have, but they just didn't give us a lot of time. Let's see what else we got here. DeMario Warren, people asking about him. McCoy got work tonight. Let's see what else we got. Don't know about Arkansas. Somebody's asking about the money that Taylon Green got to go to Arkansas. I don't know the answer to that. George Chelani was a beast. What a performance for him to go out on. Yeah, happy for him. That was pretty cool. Hats off to Jonah Dalmas. And somebody asked earlier about him for next year. He's going to have a decision to make. He has a COVID year left. I really don't know which way he's leaning. I asked him a couple days ago, and he said he hadn't made a decision yet. If he comes back, he's only like 20 field goals or so, 18, 19, 20, something like that, shy of the NCAA record. Jonah Dalmas could become the all-time career NCAA field goal leader in the history of college football. And yes, you have the COVID season. Yes, you can put an asterisk next to it, whatever you want. But Jonah Dalmas could have more made field goals than anyone in college football history. I think he's at like 80, and I think the record's like 97 or something. I mean, it is well within reach next season. And if you're the all-time leading field goal kicker in NCAA history, like, doesn't that put you in the College Football Hall of Fame at some point? Like, Jonah Dalmas has a chance to be a College Football Hall of Famer if he comes back next year, as crazy as that sounds. And I know he has a decision to make if he wants to just try it at the next level or move on with his life. But, I know he loves playing with James Ferguson Reynolds and working with Tyler Rasa, and we'll see what happens with Jonah Dalmas. But I think if he were to come back next year, you'd feel really good about having James Ferguson Reynolds and Dalmas both back again. Let's play some raw emotion here. This was after the game. A lot of players hugging each other. Markel Reed coming back for another year. DJ Schramm is not. And you see the raw emotion. A lot of tears, a lot of hugs, a lot of messages for players. Going to let this go. We'll comment at times too. But you see Riley Smith here. He had a lot of tears going, hugging some of his teammates. A lot of these guys are going to be back, but Riley Smith is not. And DJ Schramm is not. And some of these guys are done. And you just think about the hours that these guys put in, the years these guys put in their whole life playing football, and then maybe take off the pads and never put them on again. The feeling, the raw emotion is just crazy to think about, something that will never really be in these guys' positions here and what they've gone through. Pee-wee football. These guys played football for 15-plus years, and this may be the last time they ever put the pads on. There's Jerron Johnson right there talking to Markel Reed. Good to see Jerron back on the sidelines. Players came in here for they do this after every game, a team prayer here at the end. Whole team comes in for a prayer at the end of the game. And again, 35-22, the final. This is just moments after the game. We're just showing you some raw footage here after Boise State falls to UCLA in the LA Bowl, ending the season at 8-6. Boise State ends the season at 8-6. They do have that Mountain West championship that nobody can take away. They're going to get a ring, and they've got a lot of memories that they're going to be able to keep for the rest of their lives with how this season ended. But certainly the season not ending the way they wanted to in this game, and that's going to be tough. Guys like DJ Schramm, guys like Riley Smith. You see Dimitri Washington in tears right there. Guys lining up to hug him. Tough end of the career for Dimitri Washington, a guy that had a lot of promise, had a chance to do some big things, and just got derailed by injuries and never was really able to get it going. You see the tight ends there, Matt Lauder and Riley Smith, obviously sharing a moment there, kind of passing the torch, so to speak. Matt Lauder going to be tight end number 1 next year. Again, you see Dimitri Washington, the tears coming down his face, man. Not going to find a better guy on the team than Dimitri Washington, and just a tough way for his career to end, like I said, not being able to get out there and play. And you guys, you can criticize all you want, but this is the raw emotion right here. This is what it's all about. You see Riley Smith is now in tears. And it's this is what it's all about. It's easy to kind of rip on guys and that the team loses the game. And you see how much it affects these players. These guys are put in hours 365 days a year for 12 football games, or 13, or if they're lucky, 14 games. For a guy like Billy Bowens, he's going to try to play at the next level, but who knows what his career holds. Garrett Curran not even wanting to take his helmet off, man. Not sure what his football career holds. CJ Tiller, an emotional guy right there, in some tears, talking to Ahmed Hassanin. Some words of encouragement for him. Again, a much different feeling. 2 weeks ago, we played the raw emotion after the win. Guys hugging, celebrating, dancing. Gabe Hunter with a message here for DJ Schramm. That was an emotional moment there. Gabe Hunter kind of encouraging him and telling him how much he means to him and what he's going to go do in his life. You see guys lining up there to hug and talk to DJ Schramm. Oh, there's Ben Dooley. I might have said earlier that was Garrett Curran. Oh, there's Garrett Curran. Not sure if I missed that up earlier or not, but just raw emotion here. And as I said, 2 weeks ago, they're celebrating a championship. They're on highs, the best feeling in the world. And now they're hugging guys, saying bye to guys they may never see again. I mean, this team will never be together again. And it kind of puts things in perspective when you see the raw emotion here. Ahmed Hassanin just kind of standing there trying to process it all. Jaden Virgin coming over to console him. Again, this team did a lot of great things. Overcame some crazy losses earlier in the season. Overcame head coach firing. Overcame a lot. And for them to win the final 3 games, 0.1% chance, win a conference championship, get to the LA Bowl. There were a lot of people that weren't even sure if this team would even get to a bowl game. That's how bad it was. Weren't even sure they'd get to a bowl game when they were 4-5 after losing to New Mexico and this team, or to Fresno State. This team battles back, wins 3 games at the end of the season, wins in Las Vegas to win the championship. You see Alexander Tubner and DJ Schramm right there, both guys in tears. Eric Chenander there with Steph Cobbs, but this is raw emotion here, guys. Football's a lot of big, tough guys, but a guy like DJ Schramm, I can't imagine the emotions there. Not going to, probably the last football game he ever plays for a guy that grew up in a football family. Well, Alexander Tubner is coming back next year. DJ Schramm is not, and so this is thought I wanted to show you some of this, and I thought that it was worthy for you guys to kind of see what the scene was after the game. There's Andrew Simpson, DJ Schramm sharing a moment there as well. Cade Beresford, Dimitri Washington. A lot of hugs, a lot of comments. There's Billy Bowens and Steph Cobbs. Steph Cobbs has a COVID year left, I believe. Billy Bowens does not. And there's 2 guys that have been friends and teammates for a long time. And again, a lot of these guys are coming back, but a couple aren't, and certainly a tough one. You see Cade Beresford consoling some of his teammates there, and just a tough way for this season to end for Boise State. I know a lot of guys, disappointed with how it ended, but when you take a deep breath and realize what this team did, this team accomplished a lot of things this season, and you go back to the, what could have been game, the loss to, UCF on the final play of the game, the not going for it on 4th down, then having the field goal blocked and losing to Memphis. The last play against Colorado State, losing on the Hail Mary, losing by a touchdown out in Fresno on a 90-yard kick return or whatever it was in a game that was winnable. So many things went wrong for this team. Coach gets fired, and yet they rally and get to the championship game and win it. And I know it's tough to think and say now, but this team certainly is going to be remembered for a long time for a lot of things, and they're going to have a Mountain West championship. But going back to 2017, that's the last time this team has won a championship and a bowl game. And that's the goal that's up there on their team room. And another year ends where they are not able to accomplish that goal. Only 2 times, I think it is, since 2010. 3 times since 2010. You got 2012, 2014, 2017. Did they win the championship and win a bowl game? And so that goal, unfortunately, is going to have to go to another year. And we'll certainly talk moving forward about what that means in terms of the playoff next year and this roster. But I do want to hear some more from Spencer Danielson. Do want to hear some more from George Helani, Andrew Simpson. We got one more quick timeout we got to take. Stay with us for 90 seconds. We'll get back to some more comments from Spencer Danielson after the game. We'll take your comments, your thoughts on wrap this season up, and also kind of turn the attention to the transfer portal and what they need to do to be a contender for that playoff spot next season. So don't go anywhere. We're back. We're on the field here at SoFi Stadium. We're back in 90 seconds on the Bronco Nation News Lithia Florida Boise postgame show. Bronco Nation News is sponsored by Tommy Alquist and Ball Ventures Alquist, Idaho's premier commercial real estate development company. BVA projects specialize in office, retail, flex, medical, and industrial spaces located at some of the most strategic and visible locations in the valley. Need a developer? Looking for new space? Think BVA. At BVA, we are Idaho's developer. The Nicolason family and SON management have proudly been operating Taco Bell restaurants in and around the Treasure Valley since 1969. One of the first to make a 7-figure donation to the Lyle Smith Society, they've also stepped up their support of Boise State athletics with the Taco Bell men's and women's basketball endowed scholarships. The Nicolason family and SON management have committed at least $310,000 by 2026. Get more information on their financial support of Boise State athletics and find information on applying to work at Taco Bell at tacobellworks.com. Lithia Ford of Boise is a proud supporter of Boise State athletics and the official car and truck of the Broncos. Lithia Ford of Boise supports Bronco student athletes through NIL deals, including providing Ford vehicles to Taylon Green and Riley Smith from the football team and Paige Barsh from the volleyball team. Rain's family purchased our F-150 from Lithia Ford. Couldn't be happier with the purchase. Check out the all-electric F-150 Lightning or the electric Mustang Mach-E at Lithia Ford, and make sure to check out their full inventory of vehicles at lithiafordboise.com. The Blue and Orange Store is the perfect spot to get all your gear for your next Bronco game. The Blue and Orange Store has official Nike apparel, including jerseys, shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, hats, and more. Wear what the Broncos wear and get it at the Blue and Orange Store, the second floor of the Boise Town Square Mall, or get free shipping on a $40 order online at theblueandorangestore.com. Thanks again to Taco Bell, one of our great sponsors. Go check them out. Get some breakfast. We appreciate Taco Bell, and they're doing a lot. The Nicolason family, SON management for the endowed scholarships for the Boise State men's and women's basketball team. They're donating a lot of money for that. And they're also hiring. So if you're looking for a job, make sure you check out Taco Bell. We appreciate them. And if you're looking for a late night meal or breakfast tomorrow, I highly recommend the breakfast quesadillas. And get out there and support the sponsor and go check out Taco Bell. Let's hear a little more from Spencer Danielson, George Hilani, Andrew Simpson after the loss.
This season, what do you think is your favorite part of this journey and also going forward?
Definitely my favorite part of the journey is just with these young men. I mean, they impact my life every day. Andrew, George, just to name two. I mean, they changed my life. And they impact me, seeing them come to work every day, seeing them go through the downs where everybody counted us out. They didn't blink. They linked arms and said, no, let's do this together, found a way to win a championship when it was a 0.01% chance of it happening. That's my favorite moment is these kids impacting me. Like I said, they changed my life. I'm blessed just to be around them. So every moment I'm around them, on and off the field, is the highlight for me.
Appreciate it.
Joe Reedy, Associated Press. George, can you talk about the long touchdown run, but also just the first half, maybe how frustrating it was, field goals instead of touchdowns?
I mean, yeah, in the first half, we kicked a couple of field goals, and we definitely could have executed better on offense. You know, just to score those extra points. I mean, you know, coming out the second half, obviously, we had, back-to-back 3-and-out drives, and, you know, that's not it as an offense. We need to get those going, especially when we have the momentum. And then, you know, in the run game, we just got to keep, as a running back, just keep trusting it, It's going to pop. It's going to be dirty runs all game, but, you know, when you get that advantage in the fourth quarter, and, you know, shout out to O-line again, you know, blocking up front, that crease hit inside, and yeah, I was out of there. I just, you know, tried not to get hawked, try to, you know, get the speed up there for sure. But yeah.
Jay Tuss, KTVB. George, if you could answer this first, and then Andrew, if you could build off of it. I'm just curious. This last month has been one of the wildest months, really, in a program history, probably. What will your takeaway be from it, George? And then, if you wouldn't mind adding to that, Andrew, what your takeaway is.
I mean, just, you know, how strong this team is, the perseverance of them, you know, continue to stay bought in, especially with Coach D. You know, he's the real deal, and he cares truly about us, and everybody loves him. So, you know, shout out Coach D. But I would say, you know, just having guys continue to come in day in and out, and, you know, even when things weren't going good for us, just basically embracing the suck, and then, you know, taking it one day at a time. And then, obviously, we made it to the championship, and, you know, no one can take that away from us. But we will be better. And yeah.
All right, we're going to do last two questions with the gentlemen that already have the mics.
Spence, George probably played his last game as a Bronco today. I mean, what was it like to see him break that 66-yard touchdown run? What does that do for his legacy moving forward?
Well, George's legacy has been imprinted for a long time. It didn't just happen today. And what he does off the field, how he leads, how he trains, how he's one of the humblest young men I've ever been around, and has all the stats to back up to someone who humility is not common. And so seeing him come out on potentially his last day playing here in the blue and orange, him being able to make that run was awesome to see him do. And I've seen him do it so many different times. But his legacy is way more than just that run, way more than even what he does on the football field. His legacy resonates with every single person in that locker room, every single coach in that locker room. Like I said, George Kalani's changed my life, and I tell him that I owe him for the rest of my life because of how he's impacted me. So seeing him break that long run's awesome. I've seen him break a ton of runs in his career, but his legacy resonates way more than just on the football field.
Spencer, kind of a two-parter. I mean, you already touched on it, but just how do you want this team to be remembered? How are you going to remember this team with everything that you guys overcame this year, and with it being such a young roster and so much talent potentially returning? You know, how exciting is the future of this program as well?
No, I'm very excited. I believe that God is up to something big at Boise State, and I believe the best is still to come. And it is a legacy that this group of seniors imprinted. When everybody counted them out, like I said, the 4 and 5 Broncos was going to be an asterisk year. It's going to be a year that everybody looks and frowns upon. This senior class, these brothers that we have, linked arms and said not happening. So being able to flip the switch, win a championship, I think not only is going to propel us in the future on the field, but that's something that no one can take from him in life. When everybody counts you out, when everybody says you can't do something, when you put your head down, work, do it with a smile on your face, love the people around, success is waiting for you. It doesn't mean you win every football game. It breaks my heart we lost today. I'm going to learn from it. You learn through two ways, pain or wisdom. Today we learn through pain. We're going to learn from it, grow from it going forward, and it's going to help us be better in all facets. But I'm going to remember this team as a team that was counted out and just kept swinging and didn't look for anybody to give them approval, just kept swinging. And when you do that consistently, you are going to find success. We found a championship this year. No one could take that from the senior crew, but their legacy resonates with me and how you're never out of the fight. And I think that is something that even if these seniors never play football again, they can grab onto that in life. And I believe it's going to be a huge propelling force for the rest of our team going forward on and off the football field.
There's Spencer Danielson, George Kalani, Andrew Simpson. We appreciate Dom Sheldon at Boise State for getting that video turned around quickly and sending it over to us from the post-game press conference there at Boise State. We got some comments coming in. They're continuing the work on the field. I apologize if my camera is not level here. I'm kind of on a thing that's not level, and it is what it is. But they're continuing to flip this over. They already have all the logos off the field. They're using some rubbing some water and stuff and getting the paint off of the logos, and they're going to flip it around to the all the banners and signage and everything for the LA Rams game tomorrow. Did Talon Green have to give back the vehicle? Yes. My understanding is he took it back to Lithia Ford last week and had a nice chat with Jim Sturk, and he fulfilled his end of the deal. And then once he decided to leave, the vehicle has been returned to Lithia Ford of Boise. Steve says, proud of this team and coaching staff. Despite everything, it was a good game. Next year, hope we get there. Let's see what else we got. Basketball should be fun. Yeah, hope to see some of you at Extra Mile Arena tomorrow. Hope to get back in time for that basketball game. Let's see what else we got here. NIL is a problem for the Boise States of the group of five, no matter how pleasant the players are personally. I'll remind BJ and others, BSU used to compete well versus Oregon, Virginia Tech, Georgia, BYU, TCU, and UW. Yep, that is true. But again, I just, let's not put too much big picture stuff on one game tonight. Boise State started a true freshman quarterback, and I'm not making excuses. I mean, they could have won the game. The defense didn't play great, but I just think to make big overarching things about Boise State can't compete with the big boys because they had their first two quarterbacks not available in this game, and they had one of their star wide receivers transfer in the middle of the season, and they had two other talent. I mean, let's not forget Latrell Caples was supposed to be the number one wide receiver on this team, and he didn't play a snap all season. He suffered a season-ending injury in the offseason. Steph Cobbs, one of their best receivers, suffered a season-ending injury in the middle of the season, and Eric McAllister transferred. I mean, when the season started, the three guys on the depth chart Cobbs, Caples, and McAllister, they were all nowhere to be found the last 3, 4, 5 games of the season. So I think that also played into the passing game a little bit tonight. You're starting a true freshman quarterback with a lot of receivers that didn't have a lot of reps but behind Billy Bowens. And so I think Austin Bolt, the future is bright for him. I think Prince Strawn, the future is extremely bright for him. This offensive line has like 4 guys returning that started a lot of games this year. If you can go get a quarterback, I think you have a chance. And they're Boise State's, obviously going to give Maddox Madsen a chance to compete for it. But I think you got to go out in the transfer portal. And if you're giving Ashton Genty $300,000, you got to find a way to put a package on the table for, a quarterback. And you got to find a quarterback. I mean, if you get a legitimate star quarterback for this team next year, I think you have a chance to do some really, really special things. Because as I said, you're bringing back 4 guys that started games along the offensive line. You're bringing back some talented receivers. You're bringing back Ashton Genty and Breezy Dubar. You get a quarterback, and this offense could be pretty special next year. And then you look at the defense, and again, you lose Dimitri Washington, you lose DJ Schramm, you lose Cortez Hogans, but you bring back so many pieces in this secondary. Hey, there we go. Took a while for someone to say it. BJ is so full of shit. So thanks for watching. We appreciate the view on YouTube. You're entitled to whatever you want, but I'm getting your view for YouTube, so I appreciate that. I just think that this defense has so many guys coming back next year, the entire secondary, and you could say, well, that's not very good because the secondary maybe wasn't great this year. But you have another offseason, another 8 months of development for Ty Benefield, for Jalen Clark, for Amarian McCoy, for Rodney Robinson, Alexander Tubner, all these guys that are coming back in the secondary, Shale Adipo. I think that there's a lot of reason for optimism. You look at linebacker, you bring back Andrew Simpson and Marco Notriani and Deshaun Misa. You look at the defensive line, Michael Callahan, Ahmed Hassanin, Herbert Gums all coming back. I think that Boise State has a lot of talent coming back. And if they can get a quarterback that can, I think a quarterback's a big one in the transfer portal. You'd love to maybe go get a wide receiver. If you can maybe get a corner that has some experience or a safety, I think linebacker could be a spot as well where you'd be happy to take a linebacker because, Marco was hurt some this year. You have Andrew Simpson, but you don't have a ton of depth at linebacker. So there's certainly some spots you could add in the portal for sure. If they could go get another offensive lineman, Cade Beresford came in and stepped in right away as a starter, coming in from Washington State in the portal. I mentioned that you got, Mason Randolph coming back, Roger Carrion coming back. You got Ben Dooley coming back, Cage Casey coming back. But if you can find another lineman in the transfer portal, that would be huge as well, I think, for this team. So a couple transfer portal additions, and this team is going to be right there with the way that, the development's going to go in the offseason. And so I think this team's going to be motivated. And let's not forget, you have a 12-team playoff next year, so you legitimately have an opportunity to be the top group of 5 team, and you're going to be in the playoff next year. It's a pretty incredible thing, and it's awesome for college football that it's going to be around. And you could, who knows, maybe be right back in a stadium like this next year playing in the playoff at some point. So obviously tonight didn't go well. Boise State, again, second half, just couldn't get it going. C.J. Tiller just unable to do much in the second half. And again, I don't even put a lot of it on C.J. Tiller. I'm not even saying C.J. Tiller, it's not a negative towards C.J. Tiller. He was put in a tough spot. His first career start, he went out there and did the best he could. And tonight, UCLA was just feasting on him, and they were all over him. So when you have 34 carries for your top 2 running backs in the second half, UCLA was loading the box, and it was making it tough to run the ball, and they got in 3rd and long situations, and Tiller just had some struggles throwing the ball down the field. But I'm not going to make wide sweeping comments on C.J. Tiller after one game about whether or not he has any chance to succeed here or what. I do agree with Luis Soto. I would have given Colt Fulton a chance in the fourth quarter as well. Thought that was a little odd. It wasn't going great for Boise State. And again, a lot of it was, hey, Colt Fulton's worked really hard, and we heard from a lot of players that he would be ready for this moment. You're down in the fourth quarter, double digits, give him a chance. Because, if Colt Fulton can't get in that game, as I said earlier, when is he going to get a chance as a walk-on to get in a game at quarterback? So it would have been a cool opportunity for him. I would have seen what he had when it wasn't going great for Tiller in the second half. But again, we're not at practice. We're not in the meetings. maybe there was a much bigger gap than we were led to believe with those guys. And if they felt even in the fourth quarter, CJ Tiller was the best quarterback to give them a chance to win, and that's what they decided to do. So, again, Boise State signing day is next week. We'll get another press conference from Spencer Danielson and maybe talk to some of the assistant coaches next week. So this is a dead period this weekend. No visitors this weekend, but there may be some recruiting news, before signing day on Wednesday. So we'll have that covered for you. And then we got basketball tomorrow, and then off to Spokane on Thursday for basketball again against Washington State. So a lot going on, and in Bronco Nation News, we'll have you covered every step of the way. But again, I think there's a lot of reason for excitement with this team. It stinks right now. It's painful. It would have been, it just felt, I really felt they were going to win for the sole purpose of why not? Like, this team deserved. It just felt like this team was going to find a way to win this game. And when they got up 16-7, you felt good about it. They had the ball coming out to start the third quarter, and we're just unable to, the script just flipped very, very quickly in this one. And obviously disappointing, puts a little bit of a damper on the season. But for the most part, it's hard not if you're a Boise State fan. The whole thing you want to do is have a reason to watch, big games late in the season. And Boise State gave you a reason, and they gave you a couple extra weeks, fans, that frankly it didn't look like we were going to get in early November. We weren't even sure they were going to get to a bowl game, and they gave you a championship 2 weeks ago, and they gave you 2 weeks of excitement for this game and 3 great hours out there. So I think that as much as it stinks right now, I think if you take a step back and say, hey, this season had a chance to go even further south than it did, and they rallied and made it an exciting final month of the season. And so let's just try to be nice to each other. Folks were on social media ripping me for the Spencer Danielson hiring and saying that I was the reason that, which I wish I had this kind of poll, but all of my positive comments is why Jeremiah Dickey hired him, and it was the wrong choice and all this. And, we had people going back and forth, arguing with each other in this chat on social media. Like, it's just a game. You saw the kids crying. You saw the raw emotion. These guys are fighting, doing everything they can out there, and it is what it is. But certainly was a tough way for the season to end. And it's, Boise State, again, a lot to be proud of. I know it was a rough season, or a rough end of the season. There were some rough moments, but it was I think Harold kind of says it best here. It was a bizarre year, and it was a bizarre year like no other. And I certainly enjoyed the heck out of it. And again, I think there is potential for this team moving forward. We'll see what happens in the transfer portal. We'll see what happens with the roster, but let's not make wide sweeping decisions on Spencer Danielson as a coach, as CJ Tiller as a quarterback, on some of these players for one game, 1 3-hour game against UCLA. Let's not overreact to some of this like some folks are on social media. Let's just take a deep breath, realize we have 8 months to worry about Georgia Southern, and it's going to be a fun offseason. I think there's still, the momentum is dampened a little bit by the loss, but I still think there's a lot of reasons to be excited about this program moving forward. I mentioned the roster, the coaching staff, and you mentioned just the schedule next year and the way it shapes up. I think there's a lot of reasons if you're a Boise State football fan to be excited. And like I said, a lot of people didn't think you're going to be in this game. A lot of people didn't think you're going to be in the championship. And the fact that you guys got a couple extra exciting weeks of football, I think you guys need to just take a deep breath and realize that it was actually a heck of a ride. And, it sucks they lost, but a lot of fun times ahead for this program and this team. And I do think it's very exciting. And I think this team will be one of the favorites to have a chance to be the Group of 5 champion next year and go to the college football playoff next year. And just the fact that they actually have a chance makes it exciting right off the bat going into the offseason. So appreciate you guys for checking us out. So go support all of our sponsors. Really appreciative of our title sponsor, roepaint.com, roepaint.com, official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. Check them out. And all your painting needs, interior, exterior, on your painting on your home, residential, commercial, industrial, those concrete coatings, of course, in your basement, your garage, your back patio, they can help you out as well. And we wouldn't have a Bronco Nation News without roepaint.com. So appreciate you guys. I wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for you guys watching these shows. Wouldn't have it without your subscriptions. Wouldn't have it without you supporting the sponsors and making the sponsors want to continue supporting us. So I'll save you the sappy end of season story commentary, but just want to thank all of you. It's been a fun season. Even those that have negative comments for me or don't like me or whatever, I appreciate the feedback, appreciate the give and take, and it's been a heck of a season. And I appreciate all you guys for watching these shows, for liking these videos, for buying a subscription. And it means a lot to me and my family. And, like I said, didn't end well for you, and I apologize, and I feel for you guys, but I know there's a lot of exciting times ahead here for Boise State. Speaking of row painting, there's our man Andy Rowe chiming in again. So glad you're watching, Andy. Appreciate you. Hopefully folks will go support our title sponsor, Andy Rowe, and check out rowpaint.com and give them a call this winter for all your painting needs. So appreciate it, guys. Thank you to all of our sponsors again. Thank you to all you guys for your subscriptions and your comments and your kind words. Tough way to end the season, but there's good times ahead. And let's have some fun with basketball season now. Got a basketball game tomorrow. We'll get back to Boise tomorrow in time for that game. Going to Spokane on Thursday. Going to be a fun basketball season, and let's turn our attention to that a little bit. You got signing day as well, but still a lot on the horizon for Boise State athletics, and we'll have you covered every step of the way at BroncoNationNews.com. So hopefully you'll go subscribe, BroncoNationNews.com, BNN 50 deals, that promo code. Would love to have your support. I'm going to get back to the hotel because they're kicking me out here and have a story or two written about that. And then we'll have full basketball coverage as well. A lot of coverage still to come at BroncoNationNews.com. So if you're able to help us subscribe, $50, we'd love to have you. If not, at least subscribe on YouTube. And if you're watching this on Facebook or Twitter, jump over to YouTube. We'd love to have you subscribe there, and it's free. And then you can turn on the notifications so you know when we go live and have all of our broadcasts and things like that. So we hit the hour mark. I'm about to get kicked out here as they get ready for the Rams game. Going to head back to the hotel and write a story. Again, you can read that at BroncoNationNews.com. We'll get back to Boise early in the morning. Be there hopefully to cover the basketball game. Again, final score 35-22. Boise State falls. Final record 8-6 on the season. And they'll play Georgia Southern in about 250 days to kick off the next football season. But before then, you got signing day, you got spring ball, you got the portal, and you got a fun basketball season ahead as well. So we'll talk to you from Extra Mile Arena tomorrow. Appreciate you guys for all your support this season. Go subscribe if you can. And another football season in the books. Crazy how fast it goes. And appreciate you guys for stepping up every step of the way. Dan says, appreciate your effort and vision for BNN. Adds a lot to Boise State that I'm missing. Appreciate you, Dan. Even with my crappy camera here with the weird lighting, you can hopefully at least hear me okay. And we go from one positive one to a negative. I can see that BJ is a total a-hole. So we'll appreciate you. Again, at least you're watching. At least we got your click on the video for the YouTube revenue. So we appreciate you and appreciate all you guys for checking us out and for making this possible at BNN. So go support the sponsors, go subscribe, and go have a Cutwater Spirits, more than 30 flavors, pre-mixed premium cocktails. Pick one up at your local gas station or grocery store. You can have one and maybe drink off the loss tonight. But hope to see some of you guys at Extra Mile Arena. We'll be on live if we can before the game with a quick post-game show if we get back in time, and then a full post-game show or pre-game show, and then a full post-game show as well as Boise State takes on Cal State believes Fullerton tomorrow. At Extra Mile Arena. 2:00 game, so if you're not doing anything, come on out. I think they have $5 tickets. Bring a toy, unwrapped toy for $5. And we'll see you at Extra Mile Arena tomorrow. So another football season in the books. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate you. Love you. Talk to y'all soon. Bronco Nation News Live, Bronco Nation News.